Best in podcasts, the best in town. You wanna get up, get ready to get down. With its big white sky and the wild river Thames, if you wanna go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana. You all know it and love it, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth.
And we're no damn experts. We have never been more unaware of anything in our lives as we are going to be today.
I feel like I'm more unaware of some things, but...
okay. Well, maybe that's just a false claim.
But I like the setup, though, because then it really frees us up a little bit.
With us today is someone who is extremely creative, who has done all the hard work and reaped very little rewards for some of it, and who has a painting that one day will be in my house.
Oh, does he know this?
Probably not.
Okay.
He's going to learn a lot today. With us on the podcast is Chuck Fulcher.
I thought we were supposed to be learning from him.
Yeah. Welcome. I welcome myself.
Yes. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Yes.
I'm glad to be here.
And I love that. So we'll talk about all of your creative ventures. One of them being, though, what you arrived here in.
Mm-hmm.
your VW
1972.
Bus.
Yeah. Camper bus.
This is where you really want to have a video component to podcasts.
Yes, I love to show people. Well, and you have the outfit that goes with it.
I have the yellow sunglasses and the bus T-shirt.
Yeah, you walked in. I was like,
it's like
it just fits.
Like when you woke up this morning, you're like, I'm going to drive the bus, and I'm going to need to wear this T-shirt.
I actually I only turn on certain music while I'm in the bus.
I love it.
It's usually my podcast is my music on it is Pandora, and it's always Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. And your water bottle right here has the sticker on it. Well, I was looking more at the bug there, but
thank you.
That one too. Yes.
That's always funny because then I have three other. I love old cars. So I've been since when I was 24 years old. I was designing swimming pools in Los Angeles.
Well, that's quite a job,
isn't it? Though this is what
How do you fall
college
into
education.
That kind of job?
I was in advertising, and I could not find a job in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So then I kept looking, but I had 3 years of architecture because again in college I couldn't figure out what I wanted to be.
I was gonna say you have to be qualified in some way to design pools.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as it's not built upwards, I'm okay with under the ground.
Well, pools are down, so you're pretty good there.
Yeah. Structure's kind of different, but I wanted to make an impression every time. 1985, Miami Vice was on, and Tubbs would come rolling in on this convertible Cadillac, and I said, I want that car, and so I found it in La Brea, and I bought it, and 24 years old, and I still have it today.
Wow. Well, you've gotten good mileage.
Yeah, 21
literally
feet
and
long.
Figuratively out of that.
And I never, ever hit the sidewalls when I parallel park.
Oh, my gosh, don't jinx yourself.
No, I don't.
He's an excellent parallel parker. He's
got it down at this point.
Got it down.
Oh, my gosh.
But so go ahead.
L.A. designing
Swimming pools.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of ground to cover in between here, I think.
Where are we going with this? And it's going to be crazy to get around again.
I'm just going to start with, are you originally from Great Falls, or how did you end up here?
No, yeah. I did. I graduated Great Falls High in 1978. Okay. I designed the yearbook cover. I wanted to always be an artist.
From the beginning.
Yeah. Been an artist my whole life. I started selling paintings at 12, 13 years old. I could render fairly well. And so then I said, I'm going to go into the fine art business. So I went into to college in Bozeman because I had a grandmother there and I could stay with her. And
that's a good plan.
Well, they didn't have a program I particularly cared for. So I said, I need something with a little more regiment. And so I said, I'll go into architecture, which is super regimented. And then somewhere
this is too regimented.
Somewhere after structures, in the structures department, I started failing. I just come straight out and say it. I was failing. And
hey, that's how you learn, right?
Then you start looking around
That's-
going, what's kind of like this, but not really like
But
this.
not like this at all.
And then then I found graphic design, and it was the perfect match for what I wanted to have. So.
And that launched an advertising career.
Right. So,
Okay.
So I went to LA and said, I'm going big. I'm going in. I'm going to be.
Well, and was this the time frame when LA, it's like the advertising agents and the DJs and all of that are the big...
They were the best.
big men in town.
They really were.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go somewhere, you go to New York or you go to Los Angeles. And it was 80s were a great time. Los Angeles wasn't that horrible of a place. I mean, it was full.
Yeah.
But it was never really
Right.
super dirty.
Oh.
It was still pretty nice. It
Even
wasn't
in
the
the
homeless.
sleazy 80s, huh?
Yeah, 80s. We had.
I loved the 80s.
I did too. It had shoulder pads
I
in
was
your shirt,
alive
your
for
jackets.
big hair.
Briefly.
Exactly. That's when
Everything went. Like, nobody cared. You showed up and neon colors are like, all right, neon colors today.
And
Perfect.
what's with the
I
weird
like that.
fringy things and lacy stuff everybody looked like Madonna.
And
it
I
was
think
just-
for girls, that was the first time boots and shorts became a real popular fashion
Oh.
statement.
That
they're
still lives
still hot,
on.
yeah.
That lives on. Yep.
Exactly. That's still a good time. And
That lives
They
on.
don't just go with jeans.
Nope.
Nope.
Goes with
nope,
everything.
nope.
Yep.
So, but it was a crazy time, and I looked for a job, and it was hard to find. So I looked in offshoots of advertising, and because in advertising in Los Angeles, it's a town of specialties. So you have to. I went to apply for a job there, and they go, "What's your specialty?" And I go, "I don't know."
Everything.
Graphic design. They go, "Well, you can't be a master of all. You have to specialize in something."
Oh, man.
And I go, what?
And then you
they
showed
gave-
them, now
they
you're a
gave-
master of all.
Right. See, I can still do it and do everything.
Exactly.
And so, but it was very interesting. So I finding the pool design was more of an illustrative aspect for me, because you had to not only design the pool, you had to render it in your sales aspect of it. And so that was always the fun, that you learn to work with markers. You can't erase markers. So whatever you lay down, it's like my paintings.
Yeah.
Whatever color you lay down, it's there. You can't take it off. You
Yeah.
have to work.
You have to work with whatever's
with whatever
now
you
down.
happen to
Yep.
go down.
Oh,
with.
now this is going to be this color. This is great.
Exactly. I was thinking of that color, but
Now I'm committed to it.
exactly. But that's always was great for my painting wise. The transition, we're making that transition that says here from designing with markers to designing with oil paint is very. It's a connected art.
Were you an artist painting like you are now back then?
No, I
Okay.
actually started painting when I was working with Ad Club.
Okay.
And
Here
I
in Great
actually,
Falls, yeah.
because I was working at Went Advertising in it's funny because it was in Los Angeles. I come up to see my parents, and all my friends who I knew were in advertising here, and I wanted to be in advertising. So I would go visit them all the time at the ad agencies in town. And so I went in once and did kind of like this informal. Mary Tejan at Went gave me an interview, kind of off the cuff. I was talking to Roland Taylor at the time. And so we're all kind of interconnected with each other. And I got the job. She says, would you like to come back home? For the same amount of money I was making in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh,
bought a house, and I came over.
Easy decision there.
big money
Yeah.
now.
Exactly. It was like a one-bedroom apartment
Yeah.
in Studio City, and now suddenly I got a house.
Got a mansion here, yeah.
Exactly. Well, Fourth North is close enough, but yeah.
That's a beautiful area of town, though. Historic, beautiful area. Fourth North's a good place.
It was a great place. I stumbled into it, and I paid a whole $28,000.
Whew. Nice.
That
Can
was
you
fun back
imagine
in
now?
the day.
You can't get a vehicle for that now.
No,
No,
you can't
but-
buy a truck for that.
You think of like the 1970 Camaro, how much it was brand new. It's like $4,500, and you're like, what's happened?
What's happened? Exactly.
It was weird because in '78, our whole parking lot was filled with Camaros, all the different muscle cars that were out there, because they were all 10 years old. They're 69, everything.
Okay.
So at 78, you're like, oh, it's 11 years old. It's worth $500. And so everybody was driving these cars, and they all your friends will tell you, I had that car. Why I got rid of that car,
Yeah.
I'll never know. And so
I never had it. Dated a boy who did.
Cool.
there's one way to get it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different boy.
No longer with him, but it's still obligated
boy,
to me.
yeah.
Like if he
Nice.
he ever
Still a
gets rid of
claim
this
to
car,
that.
that's a call to me that I
Wow.
get it.
Well, you
Always
still
work-
got a good deal
yeah.
with that. Yeah.
Always working that out's the way to go.
Yeah.
So
She's a
Always
thinker.
keep your friends close.
so here's how the story winds into
Okay.
it. So then I'm at
Yes.
working at Went Advertised, and they said you need to become more, involved in the community. And there's a thing called Ad Club.
Okay.
An Ad Club, we had a fundraiser, to do art, help promote ourselves and the Russell Museum. And so Norma Ashby, 1969, way before I was there, started. The whole story. But I started working, and I'd always volunteer to do production during the quick draw. And I would watch these guys paint, and they go, I can do that. I don't know.
Did you say you look at that and you say I can do
I
that?
can do
okay,
that.
that's a true artist because I look at that and
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, no way I could ever do that.
But they were and most artists are still to this day very generous with their information about their world. They're not afraid to tell you how they do it. They're not going to hide their paper stock or their brand of oil that they like.
Yeah.
They go, I usually like this Grumbacher number 7, and stuff like that.
Because they know people like us aren't going to
I
go
know.
into it.
It means nothing to
Unless
us.
you're,
Yeah.
right, unless you're an artist, then you're like going, writing it down, taking notes,
Yep.
And every year I did that for, I bet you 10 years. And finally my wife goes, so just, so she goes, just try it. So she went and bought me an easel. And I took a couple lessons from some artists. And all I did is transmit from what I was doing in advertising, which was storyboards and imagery like that, and just turn it into more visual imagery because there is an equation for success in Western art. There is, and you can see it in most paintings. Oh yeah, just look at a painting, you can see the proportions of
It's
stuff.
easy.
That it
We
is.
just look
Just
at the
look.
painting and there's
the equation.
There's an equation for everything.
He's like, yes, that's what I said.
I'll say it slower.
We do need. Yeah.
There
Thank
is
you.
an
I'm
equation.
gonna need crayons for this one.
Yep.
Let me draw you a picture of how it all goes. And so then I just took some basic lessons on how to lay out the palette, how it all should come together, and then some real good books about landscape composition. Because you compose a painting like you do a poster or something. There's always the hierarchy of information.
So your graphic design background in your brain knew how to lay out the picture.
right, and
or your
architecture
painting.
taught you texture,
Okay.
visual texture.
And dimension.
Right,
Okay.
and proportion that the room needs to have. That's got too much in, this in it. Bring it back from there.
Yeah.
So everything basically falls together into one thing to be what it is, which then brought me to the art show that it was, because I was also the auction chair that facilitated the 30 different groups of people it took to put on the Russell auction. So I knew exactly the elements, the equation
There's the equation.
to how to put together an art show.
Okay.
And I knew how to be treated. I knew how I didn't want to be treated. I was in art shows that didn't give you what we like to give you. And so I believe everybody should have free coffee, and everybody should have breakfast, fruit in the morning, because you have to power
Got to
up for
treat
the
them
day.
right. Yeah.
Got to give them some ibuprofen.
From the night before. I've been there.
And you're on concrete.
All day long.
All day
Yeah.
long.
It's aching by
You're
the end of the day.
and you got 4 days.
Yeah.
So you better, I would say, lube them up with some ibuprofen and they'll be fine. Get back in there, drink more water, provide water, coffee, and ibuprofen. You'll make it.
Our listeners know I am completely not an artist. I try to be and then fail miserably, but I'm going to equate this to a trade show, which is similar. You're standing in a booth all day.
Yeah.
And the one trade show that I went to that cared at all about the exhibitors had this little lounge that was like in a suspended mezzanine in their conference space, and they had snacks and treats and breakfast stuff and lunch stuff and chairs, like recliners that had little tables that folded up so you could do your work. They had Wi-Fi set up, and I'm like, this is where I need to be. You can actually
function.
get your work done and not be miserable and hangry and upset at the human populace that keeps walking by your booth. So the only thing that was missing was the ibuprofen, but it was in Canada, so they had some Caesars.
There's nothing better than
take care
Canada.
of that.
Oh, I'm telling you. That's some good times up there.
Yeah.
So how old is... No, I'm not even going to ask that question. You don't even need to edit that because we're not there yet. So you knew how to put the formula together for a show.
Yes. And it was actually it was a really crazy fate of things happening. The ad club, the museum had then now taken over and done their similar show. And so the ad club was now searching for something else to do. And I was part of that process. And I said, let's do a fall art show. Just a simple little thing, not as grandiose as it was before. Calling it The Colors of Fall, and we did that. We did that for 2 or 3. Yeah. And we specialized in fall colors, and that's what we asked people to do pieces about the fall, and we did it in the fall instead of being in March. And so, but I was getting ready to go through, and I was touring. I had Susan Shannon was showing us around the fairgrounds, and I go. And it was going to be in the exhibition hall, which is the smaller of the 2 big ones. And so I said, here is where Jay Contway has always had done his show for 25 years since he left the ad club show. And she goes, well, he's not doing it this year. What?
Oh.
I go, why?
Dun,
And they go,
dun,
well,
dun.
he's moving it into a hotel. Whoa. And I says, well, I'll take it. I didn't ask my wife, didn't ask none of the questions that a good husband should have. Not that you ask permission, but you let somebody know that your life is about to change.
Or run some spreadsheet numbers.
Nah, been there. I have the equation. So
Back to
No
the equation.
spreadsheets.
So basically I said I'll take the space and started the first one, and it was in the exhibition hall, and I had 60 vendors, and
That's quite a few.
it was quite a bit because I
Yeah.
asked a lot of people and they were all so generous. And again, people are never afraid to tell you how they do whatever they do because they're hoping either you do it well and it helps reinforce their show, or you're just going to fail. and they keep
And
going.
then what's,
So, exactly.
no loss to them. Yeah.
So it was really fun to talk to a lot of people, and one of them was Jay Contway. And so Jay and Lynn were wonderful to share the information with me about that space, because every space has its own problems.
Yep.
And
its own problems, and it
positives.
sets the tone for the whole feel.
Right. And so I figured out, didn't know this, but she said, when you're tearing down, don't open both the doors.
Oh, wind.
Creates a little bit of a draft.
And
Yeah.
the cold
Suck
air
it.
just sucked all the hot air. We froze. Everybody froze the first year because it just pretty much turned into an icebox.
So to catch
Live and
our
learn.
listeners up, I don't know if we've clearly stated, Chuck
No.
runs a show as part of Western Art Week, which happens every year in March, and has been around not for the entirety of the beginning of Western Art Week.
11 years.
Yeah, there we go.
And again, it all was graduated that way, and I did exactly what Jay did too. Jay was pulling back on the reins, and I was kicking my horse in. and mine was going to be furniture, fashion, and jewelry, and fine art.
It's a different aspect of
Right.
the Western art world than what was being done or featured at the moment.
Correct. In March, it's always everything is usually traditional art. You know, the sculptures and the watercolors and the oil
Oils,
paints and acrylic paints and generally that way there. And I wanted to skew it a little bit different to fill the other aspects of the house. As I always say, your walls are getting full. It's time for a nice set of furniture and a table and some leather goods. And
Well, just the whole concept that art is not just
Something you put on a wall.
solely a painting or solely something you hang on the wall, right? That art's all around you in different ways.
And artisan work is fantastic work. Those people create. I mean, they'll put 150 hours in a chair.
Wow.
You know, and they'll never get their money worth.
No.
And they know it. I know it. We all know it. And they go. Sometimes the new people come in. They go, "But I got 170 hours in this thing. I said, that's too bad. You're going to make a penny.
You love that chair, don't
20
you?
20 cents an hour is what you're making.
Yeah.
You know?
You're going to be at a loss.
Exactly. And there is a threshold where they will make their money back. But it takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about them. They learned a lot about me. I've learned a lot about the industry. I give a lot of advice. I bring in a lot of...
Do people take it?
Sometimes. Do they take it well?
Yeah.
They do in
Sometimes
hindsight.
people just don't want to hear the truth.
They don't want to hear the truth. And I always say, like, first of all, I usually give demonstrations. I walk in and I go, why are you sitting where you're sitting? Because people can't get by you. You're right in the middle of your booth. So then usually I walk in and I stick my belly in their face and look up at this and they go, they put their hands up and go like, whoa. And you go, that's what people would have to do to get to your art.
Yeah.
And they turn around and go, oh, that's a good point. I said, why don't you just sit right out here and allow them to go in and cruise around a little bit.
There's such artistry to designing a small booth and putting your art on display, only from me being a consumer standpoint.
Yeah.
And you also don't want to feel like you're interrupting them.
Yes.
Yeah, and keeping their families out of the booth is really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because the family is their biggest support system, and they need to have that.
Yeah.
Especially on their first show. Because they think they're showing everybody that there's a lot of people in that booth. And all they're doing is keep people from coming
crowded.
in the booth.
Yeah.
It is an entirely new concept, though, and I've been through Western art events a number of times now, really enjoy it and look forward to it. But if you've never been to one or never really approached an artist before, it's a new concept. The fact that you can walk up, especially in the middle of them doing something, and just
talk to them,
or you feel like, I'm sorry, I can't buy this, but I love it and I want to appreciate and look at your art. And so you have to kind of wrap your head around the dynamic of being able to just walk up.
Yeah, my favorite moment is when I fall in love with a piece and it doesn't have a price tag on it and I have to ask the question. And then I really contemplate myself, like, if I have to ask, is this really going to end well for me? Like, at some point, am I going to say, oh, okay, I'll write the check for that?
Right.
Because I fell in love with a piece just this last March at your show. And I just stared at it the entire time. And the artist finally said, we have prints over here.
No.
And I
totally
was like,
read your mind there.
Thank goodness. Because I didn't want to have to ask how much it was. And then I saw how much the print was. And I'm like, thank God I didn't have to ask how much that painting was. Because I would have done the rude thing and been like, oh my God. It's well worth it.
Right. It's well worth it.
I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
You're not Charlie Russell, and this is a Charlie Russell price.
So I was like, walked away. My husband's like, you getting it? I'm like, I can't even afford the print yet.
Yeah.
So
they're doing that a lot, though, and this is what's causing kind of not a riff. There's just some things that are going on with the show that's happening now, coming up in August, because the museum has moved over and said, we'd like to do. I love it because they first came to me and said, can you work with us, because I already had the building in August, and they said they'd like to come in and we partner together.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what does it look like? Well, it didn't look like a partnership. And I knew that. They really can't. They can't. They have a brand they have to stay with.
Right.
And it's a great brand. And I just said, why don't you just take my building and then you can have it in August, because I don't want 2 shows, and I'll take March. And it worked out great. But
wait, did it? Because folks, we're gonna get to it, but Chuck's here to talk about his August show.
Right. Yeah. I was like, wait a second, we booked you because you have an August show, right?
I do have, yes. Well, what I said to him is, I'll help support you by putting on another show. In the same area, because I honestly do believe that it in August could be a great show for everybody, because we could fill the fairgrounds with, just like you were talking about, a festival of art, a rendezvous where everybody can come together, and all the because we have the most amount of Art Deco buildings than anywhere in the United States in Great Falls, Montana. Those buildings, I mean, architects and stuff stop and go, what is with this place?
Right.
It's a time capsule.
In a good way.
In a great way.
Yeah.
And it has grass. I mean, how many fairgrounds you've been to that doesn't have grass, trees?
Right.
And we have a wonderful place. And it shouldn't just be for the fair. It should be for other events. And people do onesie-twosies a little bit, but they don't ever take the whole place. So hopefully this is
You're
what
taking
I'm doing.
over.
In August, I want to see it become a giant art place.
Yeah.
I told Chuck this before, but Central Park's my favorite spot. And
Within
I just
the Expo
have
Park, yeah.
I just have dreams of what it can be. And one day when I guess don't work as much as I do, I'll be able to make those dreams come true. But
We talked about
I know.
that.
It's gonna be
I haven't
awesome.
forgot about you. So
Oh.
you're on my.
There's
I have
something
a painting
creative
for
in the
you,
works here.
and you have something for me. So.
Ooh. Some type of good partnership
Yeah.
happening here. Yeah.
So there is going to be this great rendezvous in addition to all of this crazy art happening in Great Falls from starting August 11th until August 21st. So I know that's a big commitment to people, but it's going to be worth it. And I'm just going to start with sharing. Not only are we going to talk with Chuck about the rendezvous that he's planning, but Chuck, you've got more credentials to your name than just a pool designer and a graphic designer and a painter.
And VW owner.
What other art mediums do you dabble in?
I play music too.
Yeah.
I'm an overachiever.
You are a
My
creative
always,
overachiever.
My mother always said, if you're going to do something, do good and make money at it. So,
Yeah.
Well, that was good. That was good advice.
yeah, but she always said it too about the garbage man.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, but she goes, and she always used to leave out 6-packs for the garbage people around Christmas time.
Oh, that's a nice gift.
That
Well,
is.
and or a cooler, or a bottle of whiskey. My mother was German, so go big or go home. Exactly. And she says they were always quiet with my cans because they used to do it by hand, and they never dented and banged them.
Oh,
and
wow. Yeah.
because if you reward people for being caring, it will reward itself back to you.
Yeah.
And so that's when she says, that guy, he's really good at what he does. And he's probably the best professional sanitation guy around. And that's how no matter what your job is, you got to be the best at whatever it is.
And pour
Take
yourself
pride in
into
it.
it. Yeah, for sure. Take ownership, take pride. So your music, you do that
music,
in that too.
But see, that comes in with the show too, because every time I've had a show, I make sure, the vendors are happy. There's good artwork because I like to do art. I like to produce a show and I want to have entertainment, and then I want to have entertainment again. Music is the key that winds it all together. And so that's why I always had my band, Pollo Loco, play. And we were a cowboy western group, and
With a great name.
We've been together for 30 years, and I got it from El Pollo Loco when I was in L.A. Designing swimming pools.
That carried through, huh?
It's the equation.
It just keeps coming.
There's the theme to everything.
There's the equation. Okay. Got to bring it back in.
So let's put on record the funniest story I think that exists between Chuck and I.
Okay.
So
Do you know where she's going with this?
I'm waiting.
So we're on the phone talking about organizing for Western Art Week quite a few years ago. And he tells me, oh, yeah, Pollo Loco's going to play at the show. And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? And he says, nope. I don't know why anybody is
why
this
are you
excited.
fangirling this hard?
I'm like, Chuck, I got to tell you this story. I said, Pollo Loco used to tour as part of the school systems, art in the school programs back in the 80s and 90s. And we'd have these assemblies in our school. And I said, Pollo Loco came to my school. They performed. They had T-shirts out. And I begged one of my teachers to buy it for me because it's not like I have a credit card or money at school when I'm a freshman. And teachers loved it because then, oh, yeah, we'll pick that T-shirt up for you and you can work it off by cleaning my house for 3 weeks. Seems like
totally
a perfect, perfect exchange. And so I have in my chest of drawers this pristine Pollo Loco T-shirt that I have never worn because I was convinced like one day they're going to be in a stadium like at Madison Square Garden. I'm going to wear this Pollo Loco T-shirt. And Chuck's sitting there listening to this whole story and he goes, that's part of my like I'm part of the band. And I'm like, oh, I had no idea. He's like, huh.
I remember the story. I don't remember you had the T-shirt, though.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've got a T-shirt.
That's a detail that's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
Is it a white one?
black.
Black.
Oh.
Yeah. The white one was kind of controversial.
Probably didn't end up in the school system.
We know we said Pollo Loco, the white meat of country music. And so,
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
I know. But,
So-
but you know, and I know. Yeah, we don't produce that shirt anymore.
So
Moved on to new
Pollo
designs.
Loco,
Yes.
it's going to perform in
There you go.
August again.
So you gonna bring the T-shirt?
Might. It don't fit no more.
You can just hold it. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think we should sign it.
I'll bring it and
I
get
love
it signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get a little white silver marker and we'll do it. That'd be
That's
fun.
fantastic.
Yeah. Flash forward 32 years,
Right?
you know.
Yeah. Did you know he'd be hanging on to it for that long?
Yeah, I had early indications that
Okay.
I was a hoarder.
This was a-
yeah.
This was a lifelong treasure.
There was notifications early in
How
my
many
life.
storage units do you have?
None.
Do you want to know how
Oh.
many shoes she has?
Yeah, that obviously I've got issues. Listeners learned last week.
Well, yeah, in our episode last week, we learned how many shoes.
300 pairs of
No
shoes.
way. That's an
There's
addiction.
a little bit of an art form. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should see some of
And
them.
there's
They're
quite a
just
few-
gorgeous.
Boots.
Yeah.
But
Cowgirl
do
boots.
you have a favorite 50?
Yeah. There's
They
there's
sit
a
up front.
small group
Yeah.
that actually get worn,
Get worn.
I guess. Most of it's just an art collection
There you
that's
go.
on display in
That's
my
her.
closet.
That's her living artwork.
Is it
yes.
is it name brand that you like or style?
I've got a few, like I've got a large selection of Naughty Monkey shoes. And for any of my shoe listeners, they know they're very artistic, very dynamic in their colors and types of material that they use and heel size, and really love some of those. I've got quite a few Sam Edelmans. Yeah, they'll go in streaks.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So who's your newest?
As I age, I'm more into Toms.
Wow. Throw
mean,
out that
that-
fashion,
that
put
is
right
a
into
name
comfort.
brand,
isn't it?
yeah.
I got a pair of dudes on right now.
There you
I
go.
pretty much worn out.
Nice.
So.
Yes.
Yeah. No, my
So-
Tom's collection is getting me through the last couple months. So
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
And that's as a social thing too. Don't they give things to
Yeah.
they're kind of social.
and of course that's why I buy them.
Of course.
Like they give shoes away to people who don't have shoes.
Yes, that's what you're doing.
I do the same thing.
That's what you're doing. So I'm going to loop this back into the art show. So we're talking about all your shoes, their art, their pieces of art themselves.
Yeah.
Your show, Chuck.
Yes, I've had actually boot designer,
There
a
you
boot
go.
designer there who I met and had him design me a set of boots, and so it's
Yeah.
a nice pair, not a set.
You've
I
had
don't know how many set would be of boots, but
I don't know either.
yeah, but
5? Sure. Yeah.
I think there's even been handbag designers there. There's
Yes.
a lady who does journals, which are absolutely
Yeah, those
stunning.
are beautiful. Yeah.
Jennifer
we-
Solberg.
We
she's
talked
gonna
about
be
the
there.
furniture. There's also like rugs and
Yes.
cow hides, things like that are there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking.
Jewelry.
Well, it's
Generally
funny
speaking.
because the August show is a little bit on the thinner side.
Okay.
Just because it's a smaller show.
Sure.
March was 320 booths.
Yeah.
This was 120 maybe.
Still a lot.
Still a lot.
Yeah.
But
That's a little more manageable almost.
it was. March was almost a free for all. there was moments I was scared. I mean,
Yeah.
there was literally so many people.
If they start to revolt, I can't stop
Yeah,
them.
right.
I know.
Masses
Don't
here.
yell fire.
Yeah. That will not turn out well.
No. Although there's a lot of fire exits, you can see them all.
Yes.
Thank you, city
Yes, there you go.
department. Yeah, they take care of that.
So what's going to happen in August with
Yeah.
your measly 120?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
It's a manageable size. Yeah.
We're taking up the trades and industry building and the mercantile. The mercantile is the one with the giant sphere up the top, the one that looks more like an Art Deco building than any other building in the place.
Appropriate.
Right, and that's going to house the Best of the West, and that's a contemporary Western art. We're all trying to modify from the museum's show, which is taking all the traditional stuff, and their traditional stuff. They're not letting them guys have prints.
Oh.
So it's very
They're
interesting.
keeping
so
a certain standard.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. It's kind of like a catalog show. You have to be in their catalog and in their auction to be in their suites, they call them, not booths.
To have a suite.
To have a suite, you have to do that. And so, I like it. It's keeping it kind of cool, you know. So we're kind of picking up the stuff that people didn't need. Some of them are doing two shows, saying you can get originals from me, but over here we can have places for prints, giclées and stuff.
And for those of you art collectors like me, who
art admirers
can't yet get the originals from the suites at the Russell, it's always nice to go through those things to know what you're striving for, like where your next goal is. Because like I said, there is a piece of Chuck's that I absolutely have loved for years, and one day it'll be mine.
Is it available?
I don't believe it is available anymore.
But I don't really do prints, but I would do a print for you.
Wow. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Is it on?
That's
is
quite
this,
the.
is this recording?
Yeah, you can't take that back now. It's here. Yeah.
We've now got it documented.
Damn it.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping there's going to be another one like that. It's the black cow with the green in the background.
Oh yeah. The afternoon snack.
Yeah.
That was called. I had that for years.
That's creative.
And it was one of those ones that wasn't really going to sell. So then it just became like my best friend. You know, it just was always there, and it was in every show.
And then you sold your best friend.
And I almost teared up when it walked out.
Well,
I actually said,
I became attached to it.
Bye.
Yeah, see you, buddy.
Somebody else just walking out the door with my afternoon snack.
Well, I would imagine you would get.
It's the story of my life.
Yeah.
Right when I get ready to purchase it, someone else buys it and goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you describe your style? So you have afternoon snack. Right. I love the vibrancy of some of the colors. We were talking about Chuck and I have done work together when I was at the TV station back in March when I was still at the TV station, did live shots during our morning shows. You're getting set up and ready to go for that show. And it was on St. Patrick's Day, actually.
It was.
Yes. Because I wasn't wearing green. And the anchor said I needed to pinch myself. Yeah. Anyway, I was just remembering that. But I remember in your booth there, the vibrancy, because I love orange. And you had these flowers, I believe, that had these vibrant red and oranges in them. And I'm drawn to that in your work. But I don't know how to properly describe your work besides that it's beautiful and vibrant.
Yeah.
Best way to describe it, I always think, is it's kind of weird because it's like, the absence of color creates line and form. Now,
is that an equation?
I'll go back. It is an equation. So I paint the canvas black. So whatever you see as a black line, I've never painted it. I painted
it's the
canvas. It's the I paint the negative space, which creates a lot of different challenges. And when I first started the technique, it was based on a lot of different things. You know, Neil Patterson. There was a little bit of Bob Ross. I even still use Bob Ross black gesso because one of these videos I was watching with Neil Patterson, who's a Canadian painter, he said, the darker your background, the more vibrant your colors will be. But the hard part is black also changes all color. So when you put black on it, yellow turns green. Oranges turn muddy red. So you're constantly looking at how you're going to address your color by adding more base to it, to make it more opaque and make it more solid. I have to add other colors to it to bring that color up so it's not going to be affected by the black.
Does that create then more texture as well in that?
Yes, because a lot of times you lay it down, then you have to go over it again with the real color. And oils take a long time to dry. So you have to do this, and then my wife says, stop it. Stop noodling with the painting. You know, it's due here pretty quick. And I always go, so you never really complete a painting, you abandon it.
You're just like, you know what?
Got to be done.
We're done with our time together.
We have to leave now, otherwise I will noodle you to death. and a lot of painters will laugh if they hear this and go, you can noodle a painting beyond its point of attractive.
You have to know when to stop.
Absolutely. And my favorite is to just lay a line down and then never touch it again.
Wow.
And it's a commitment.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, it's a commitment because you're like, it's going to be what it is, and that's okay. And I have to step away.
It's like a marker.
Oh,
coming all the way back.
Full circle.
Full circle. Here it is.
We'll get every dot connected here, folks. Don't you fret none.
I am a complicated person. Everything is related to everything.
So I asked this of prior guests when we've talked about art. Why, if I'm not an art enthusiast, why should I come check out an art show? And I think this one maybe has face value, more broad appeal, because it's not solely just Western art in painting form. But why should someone come and check out this show? If I'm like, I can take or leave paintings, Western art. Why should someone come check it out? What is there to appreciate or learn or experience?
I think it's because some of it is non-traditional. It's going to be things you haven't seen. My favorite one now is a gentleman out of Kalispell. You're going to love this. Who he's a taxidermist, and he's taxidermies squirrels who are ready for battle.
This sounds
awesome. This is the visual in my head right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're almost like the Star Wars creatures.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
With little helmets.
Ready to battle.
And they are. And the weapons are authentic weapons
Okay.
of time period. And then but they're put into the hands of squirrels.
My gosh.
And they're positioned in different ways. Exactly. You got to have one, because you'd have to have one in your house.
Well, you'd have to have two, because they can't battle alone.
Right.
Absolutely. One would just be prepped and ready for nothing.
But you put that like in the front of your house, like that's the first thing you see when you walk in. A guest walks in the door.
And then
not going to mess with you.
You have beautiful things on the walls. They're going to go, what's with the squirrels, man?
You'll be like, that doesn't everybody have a battling squirrel?
Exactly. Why are you
I got to
so
be
surprised?
prepared.
See, that's amazing. And now I really want to see it in person, because I'm like, is the visual in my brain that I've created of this battling squirrel
and having
what
him,
it is?
the first phone call he makes to me, I'm thinking the same thing. My mind goes, oh. And then he sends me the pictures, and I go, I'm all in. You are all in. The world will love you after this.
Yeah.
That's what I've always loved about your shows, is it's all-encompassing art. There's not... A lot of people will get, I'm going to call it stodgy with their art. Like, oh no, it has to be this kind of art. And at Chuck's show, it's all art. It's every art form you can think of from...
Or that you couldn't think of, like battling squirrels.
I had a gal, and she didn't stay long in the show. I don't know what happened. I think she had some life things going on, parental take care of stuff. But she did, it was like when you're going through a forest and you see a swirling of some stuff and you see a face in it.
Okay.
And she would take that, and then she would reinforce the face inside of
like if you can see a face in like the bark of a tree.
In the bark of the tree, and then she'd reinforce it and make it come back out again. And I love people who do that, because they're seeing the world like we don't ever usually see it, or we just blow by it.
You don't take the time to sit and actually look at that.
Right.
Or you're like, I'm hallucinating. I see a face in the bark.
And some people go, well, that won't work with my traditional. And you're probably right. It has to be a non-traditional home.
Right.
With unique things. I love going into people's homes that have little things on the table, and you just want to pick it up and go, this is so cool.
Yeah.
What
What's
is it?
the story behind this?
And they'll tell you the story. They met the person who did the thing, and art should be like that. Art should be like a tour of somebody's life.
Yep.
And there should always be a story associated with it. Like,
absolutely.
This guy. Let me tell you about this guy.
Exactly.
And that's what's so fun about this show, because in all of the shows that happen in Great Falls, because you get to come, you meet the artist, you get to talk to the guy who made the battling squirrel. So not only is it a unique piece, but you know the history behind it, you know the artist, you have that story component, which makes it all the more valuable and memorable.
it was interesting because one time I was thinking this was in Jackson Hole. I was trying to find a wood guy, and I seen this table, and I'm looking at it, and I keep looking at it, and it was all. Every one of the legs were supposed to be like a traditional leg, but they were a twisted piece of driftwood or something. And I asked the one question to him, and he loved the question. He goes, "So which piece of wood started this?"
Oh.
And he goes, "That's a great question. It's actually
I've
this
been
one here."
dying
And
for someone to ask me this question.
He picked the whole table up
Yeah.
and turned it upside down. And he goes, "Look at how it just came natural." Like I go, "How'd you find the rest of them?" He goes, "It was the hardest part." Finding one's one thing. Finding three.
This piece would have been done 10 years ago.
What a great question,
That's
though.
where they lose their. But see, that's when if you come to the show, always ask the wood guys what was the one piece that started it.
Okay.
Because there's always a piece
Interesting.
that starts with one piece.
Yeah.
Whether it's a corner piece or it's a edge thing or something that made them inspire them to build something around that.
That's a great question and a great thought process too when you're looking at really any of the pieces, but it sounds like especially the wood. Think where did this start?
Especially if they start with natural pieces, because there's got to be the one piece or a pile
that
of
inspires the rest of it.
That gets it. My newest thing now is when they take things that used to be something else.
The repurposed
stuff. Because gosh, there's some cool things that they still leave on the plaque that was on the thing that held the wheel that did and then they build it into something else, and you're like, that stuff is cool.
Well, and it's always interesting to me how their mind gets to that point. Like mine would never get to that point. I'm like, oh, that's really awesome.
Right. Like, oh, that's a really cool piece, but
wonder how else
beyond that,
weird you think.
And we all just don't have time in life.
Right.
I mean, that's the part I'm having. That's why I keep saying I'm going to uncomplicate my life, but with 3 classic cars and 2 shows and painting and music and blah, blah, blah.
it's all of your creative outlets.
True. And I really do live the best life. I'm never unhappy in life. I mean, it's if I'm up and vertical, it's a good day.
That's a win.
It's a win.
Absolutely.
So is the van going to be at the show in August because it's made an appearance and shows in March?
Correct.
Are we going to get to see the van and other things
You'll
going on
see.
in August?
I found a 66 Ford 3/4 ton 2-tone pickup truck.
Oh wow!
One owner.
Oh wow!
So I got it from kind of an estate sale.
Mm-hmm.
So,
kind of.
Well,
it's
it's
a smirk on his face too.
Well,
I'm curious.
We have some land. We have some land in Lincoln, and the land in Lincoln. My parents, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, were best friends with another couple, and they bought 20 acres of land together.
Wow.
Well, though that family has passed away and moved on to other things, but there was always a little pickup truck over there, and it was Jamaican yellow with cream top on it. And my wife
like a
remembers
banana split.
she was like, it's very cool that way. She used to ride in it when she was young, and so and it came up, and I always said, if that comes up for sale, I've been looking at her. I've been looking at her, married to her for 30 years.
Yeah,
so we've been looking at that truck for a long time.
Was that the initial attraction there? Was the prospect of?
I told her it's her truck.
So I'm not the only one who builds people into their life because of vehicles.
Based on a truck.
Absolutely.
Based on a vehicle.
So I'll have all 3 of my classic cars there.
Okay.
The swimming pool one, my VW bus, and this pickup truck.
So that's another thing. If people, that's probably not something someone would typically think of. I'm going to go to an art show and go look at a bunch of cool old vehicles. Well,
and Mary Michael from the Legends West show, she loves old cars and old campers. So she's bringing, and some of her friends are coming with their vintage restored campers.
Oh, nice.
Again, it's all art forms, and it really is. I mean, I believe all that. And then we're going to have something different that I like being outside. I've never really had a show outside. I've always been inside a building. We're going to do some, what do they call it? They call it like the $3 truck here, or $3 truck. They're sculptures, large monuments.
Okay.
They're monuments is what they are.
Oh, yeah.
So there'll be 3 monuments there. That'll be on the grounds. They'll have what's this?
Herd Bowl?
The Herd Bowl that's over at the CMR right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's bringing it in before he takes it back over to
Oh.
Wolf Point.
Nice.
And then it'll be there. And then Ken Marinick will have his giant monument that will be closer to the Russell Museums. So they'll be able to see, and hopefully in the future, that it's a perfect ground for large
displays, large
displays,
pieces.
yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's really neat because there really is something for everyone that can appreciate some type of art form at this show.
Yes. And music. With the music is going to be also, we're going to have a street dance.
Oh, fun.
Friday night, there'll be a band called...
Pollo Loco.
Yeah.
That's Saturday night.
Funny story about that.
Some gal came up to us.
Yeah. She had this T-shirt.
Well, let me see. It was last weekend, Marshall Tucker was here.
Yeah.
And they had Showdown open up for him. And they're going to be the dance band on
fun.
Friday night after the Russell auction.
So then everyone can take in all of that creativity that they've seen and express it when they're
to
dancing.
the world. And they're dancing. And I've seen people express themselves dancing before. So some should just sit down.
Some are good at it, some are not, just
don't
like
suppress
artists.
creativity.
That's so true. Or limit it to areas.
And on this sketch, I also see food trucks, which is my favorite art form.
That
The
is an art form,
creativity that
too.
goes
Yes.
into...
I need to know what you would like to have. And I don't know how many to get. This is the part I'm kind of working through. Susan's going to organize all that up.
Yeah.
She takes care of
yeah.
all that
Nice.
stuff.
No, I think any amount of food trucks...
We've got a growing number of options,
Yeah,
too.
There
do.
really are, isn't there?
Which
Amazing?
is exciting.
You know, in Portland, they always have a place where they all go at one time.
Like a little
Wouldn't that
dedicated
be nice?
corner. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think long time ago, food trucks weren't really a thing yet in
No.
Montana. And my friend who lives in New York was posting about this food truck she was going to that always ended up by her office, which was at the Empire State Building.
Oh, wow.
And it was called Milk, and it was a gourmet grilled cheese food truck.
Ooh.
You know, we now have the block.
Right.
So we've got
Yes.
our gourmet grilled cheese, but Nourish does such a fabulous job with just creative foods and fostering that creativity. Nourish was up here at the beginning of May for our, whatever our event was called.
National Tourism
Thank
Week.
you. And
You play so well together.
she
I wasn't
had
even working here yet. Yeah.
she had a guest chef in there that did a Spam sushi.
Oh.
It was
No.
So raw.
amazing.
So
I
raw
love Spam.
Raw Spam? Is that what that
It was
means?
cooked Spam. You can get sushi.
Sushi?
You can get sushi cooked. It was
Right.
just rolled in rice with the seaweed wrap. and
That's the sushi part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
it
Interesting.
was amazing.
Wow.
It's a fusion of Blackfeet food and
Oh.
Hawaiian.
Hawaiian or Thai.
I always have to say
Interesting.
Hawaiian just because Spam is so good.
Yeah, or true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
that's
was
creative.
It was amazing. So
Ooh.
I want more of her food.
Yeah. So there you go. That could be an option for you. That's very creative food.
I just need you send me. You guys can text me what you'd like to see happen.
Okay.
And
You got
so,
it. But there will be food
yes.
available.
And there will be, and but I think it's probably going to be Friday and Saturday. Thursday's
Right.
always kind of a light day, kind of in between things. I do want to mention all three of the shows that are there. Legends
Yes.
West is going to be there,
Okay.
and then the Best of the West, and then the Great Western Show, and Living in Design. And also we're going to have, every year for the last 3 years, I think it is, the Cowboy Hall of Fame has their Saddle
yeah.
of Honor presentation. Generally, it's at the Russell Museum, and so they've chosen to do it at the show.
Oh, neat. That'll be another nice component to
That
it.
will be great.
So all of those right now, that's part of the Western Art Rendezvous.
Right, and that'll be on Saturday. The Saturday at, I remember, 10 o'clock, I think it is.
Okay.
And folks, you can't see this, but we're
There's a
going to
nice
link it
sketch.
somewhere. It takes you through the entire Great Western Art Rendezvous that's happening at Montana Expo Park and all the different things that you're going to be able to experience and see from the beginning to the end and back again.
And it's a very artistic, it in and of itself is a nice little
Why, thank you.
piece of art.
Are you a sketcher?
Yeah, well, that's one of my things I did. And matter of fact, back at...
With a marker?
What don't
Sorry,
you do?
here
My
we go.
goodness.
Here we go. We're going on a little trail. We're going on a trip again.
Oh, I'm excited.
Are you buckled up?
I'm ready.
Exactly.
And I want to know the equation at the end of it.
One of the radio stations contacted me and said, could you do drawing of Great Falls back in the 70s?
Okay.
They did where somebody sketched out all the little businesses that buy into this map of Great Falls.
Okay.
So they did that, and they asked me to do it, and so I did it years ago, and I kept placing Pollo Loco in all the little parts. Who's those three guys playing music?
Amazing.
There? So
How funny.
So then they asked me to go over to Wenatchee, so I did Wenatchee too. So.
Wow.
And so we started talking about this, and they go, who can you find do this? And they told Hope. I said, well, I can do that. So
Yeah.
I did it up in a day for him so she could see what they look like.
What don't you do in the artistic, creative world?
I don't do laundry very often.
I don't know how creative that is. Yeah.
Oh, you can ruin something pretty quick. You can get pretty creative with laundry.
That's true. That's a good point.
My wife's super smart and goes, no, don't touch it.
I'll take care of
that's a hand wash.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have to do my own laundry now.
Not hot water.
I complained one time, too many.
Mm.
See what happens?
I know. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
You got
Don't complain. Fine, you do it. Yeah.
That's a bad thing to step into.
So I've never complained since. Like
Wow, you
last
learned
night
that.
I got home with groceries and the way he unpacked it was not the way I wanted. Did I say anything?
Nope.
I shut my mouth.
You learned your lesson. Good job.
This is so much fun. How can you guys not do this all day long?
Well,
Well,
we've got 350 other things that need to get done today.
that's true. Okay, I want to make sure we've touched on everything. Is there just quick logistics? We'll link this. We'll have it on our website, all of that. Sure. We talked about the shows that encompass the Western Art Rendezvous, which is part of a broader Russell Rendezvous Russell Reignited, which you can go back to last week and listen about that. There are murals happening during that time. There's the Big River Ruckus happening during that time.
I forgot about that.
I know
You
there's
guys
a
got-
lot happening during.
That's what you're talking about.
11th, 12th, 13th is Big River Ruckus, and Shiny Ribs is going to be
I
here.
love Shiny Ribs.
Jason Boland, Susie Bogus.
Susie, she's so bluegrass.
Oh,
I love bluegrass.
I love Susie. And a lot of people don't know about it. We're going to talk about that
We'll talk more about that.
next week, I think. I don't know.
Is
Susie
Shiny
soon.
Ribs coming in with the full horn section and everything? Because they're
You'll have to listen to our podcast next week
There
to
you go.
find
I will
out.
tune in. So where do you find this podcast?
Anywhere
Anywhere you can listen to podcasts.
anywhere podcasts are found, you can find We're No Damn Experts, and you can download it, rate, review, and subscribe.
ideally. Yes.
I think
We haven't made that plug.
We're no damn. You have to do that plug. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're no damn experts.
We're no damn experts. You are. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
But we're not.
I'm here for color.
The color commentary. Yeah. I like it. Okay. Did we talk? Okay. We talked the different shows. Is there a fee?
No, free.
Okay. Free?
Free.
Good deal. Where do they park?
Free.
That's the hard part.
Okay.
Parking. It always is.
Yeah.
I think you can park anywhere around Central Park.
Okay.
And you can park around, of course, the whole parking lot behind.
At
Yeah.
Montana Expo Park.
You can pull up almost right behind the stage. You'll see the stage will be there, and some of the old cars and stuff. You can just park on the big parking lot side and come in. Excuse me, because I think at Central Park will get pretty quick.
So free, no tickets, no reservations, no nothing.
Everything's free and happy.
Good deal.
Show up and explore and experience art like you've never experienced it before. You know?
Take home a squirrel.
Take home a battling squirrel
I think there's going to be a run on
and
squirrels.
a print.
Yeah.
And then
get a print
you
there.
get all the prints that
Yeah.
you want from your artists that are in the other show.
Except
over
at Chuck. Only I get a print from Chuck.
I don't have any
Special
prints.
design. That's a special. Check out the vehicles.
Yes,
Yeah.
the cars, the campers.
Get some jewelry.
I think it's going to be,
Yeah.
And Jennifer's
really
going to be there with her
excited.
little books. Are going to be there.
yeah, the journals. Yeah, that's neat.
Meredith is coming over from Bozeman, and she has some beautiful handbags and stuff like that. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
So if you aren't already planning, that's a ridiculous decision
Right, you
on
need
your
to
part.
be here this time. There's a lot going on.
Book your room for August 10th. Plan to depart on August 22nd.
Hang out with
I mean,
us.
where else would you want to spend any of your time in?
It's also just a really lovely time to be in Great Falls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't forget to hit the River's Edge Trail and all the
Yes.
things that add what make life better.
And the other really cool
Absolutely.
thing, for whatever reason, if this wasn't enough, CM Russell Museum is open and free to the public during
During that time. That's
Yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
So is the History Museum too, isn't it?
History
Yeah.
Museum is always Open and free, and so is
Paris
Periscipes.
Gibson Square. Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's not a whole lot of towns in the area that have that many museums, that are quality museums.
Well, actually, we are Montana's museum capital with more museums per capita than any other city in the state of Montana.
Way.
We sure are. Yes.
Gosh.
Now, I'm going to have to caveat that with I was told that, and I say it as gospel, which I just assume the person who told me is
I
correct.
was going to say, I've been repeating that to everybody.
I'm gonna throw a few details your way.
Uh-oh.
I'm really
Chuck
good.
said,
We got our fact check.
I never even have, I just own it. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is true.
yeah.
And then we bring people on the podcast and confirm.
Every
Is what I'm saying
podcast,
true?
I learned that Rebecca actually just flies off the seat of her pants here and then confirms
It's like
later.
more Art Deco buildings than anywhere in the United States.
That's true. You made that claim too.
I did, but I just Googled it. And Googling is the honest to God truth.
Yeah. They can't lie on the internet.
Yeah, Wikipedia,
No.
that's a solid resource.
Yeah, we know.
Well, on that note,
Well, look at the time.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in for this episode of We're No Damn Experts.
of us claiming things.
I love this show. Please have me back. I gotta be back here again.
Please. Yes, we'd
I have
love
a
to.
whole nother section we haven't even talked about.
perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. We'll save it for next time.
Part 2 of our interview with
Yep.
Chuck Fulcher is soon coming. And if you want to see any of this in person, we'll all be hanging out at the Montana Expo Park in August. And so
You should do a live show from the. You should record it at the show.
it would be fun. Bring in
Just
guests.
be a fly on the wall and
I'll
a squirrel.
give
Oh,
you-
no. As
I'll-
people walk by,
I'll
start
give you a
talking
booth.
to 'em.
I'll give you a booth.
Just to sit there and talk
Just
to
to
people.
sit there.
I like it.
Get a banner.
Uh-huh.
Get your 2 mics up there, and have a guest mic. Then you
There you
bring
go.
in that person.
Hey, why are you here? Did you buy a squirrel?
Tell me about your squirrel. What'd you name him? Yeah.
My squirrel guy's gonna be so happy. He's
He's gotten a lot of
gonna
promotion
go,
here.
what is going on? If you're unique, you should be promoted. I
Yeah.
think that's
For
well, you have to get out of the box every now and
Mm-hmm.
again, and that's the stuff that gets
You
people
stand
excited.
out. Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
So we're going to wrap this up. Until we see your bright, happy, smiling face here in Great Falls, we hope you are creating amazing memories with your friends and family wherever you are. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
We're No Damn Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. Damn, that felt good.